Hey everyone, my name is Caitlin Mitchell, and for the video interview project, I decided to interview my brother. He's with Startup Bros. His name's Will Mitchell. Okay, Will, can you explain briefly what Startup Bros does?
Yeah, so we help new entrepreneurs launch their first successful businesses via online training programs, live training workshops, conferences, things like that.
Okay, perfect. What inspired you to start your own business?
I don't know if it was so much inspiration other than that was kind of the only thing I was ever gonna do. Growing up, I saw my parents and especially my dad really achieve this rags to riches entrepreneurship, really achieve the dream. So from a very young age, I knew that that was the lifestyle for me. That's the path I wanted to take. So very early age, I started, probably not good news for your professor, but I started skipping school and just focusing a lot on how I was going to become an entrepreneur because I already knew what I wanted to do, and middle school wasn't doing it for me. So started skipping school, started doing entrepreneurship. By the time I was a senior in high school, I had so much, not very good grades or anything like that. So at that point, I had kind of burned the bridge behind me, and entrepreneurship was really the only thing I could do at that point. So, yeah, that's how I kind of walked my way into it.
Okay, and then how did you obtain startup capital?
I actually bootstrapped the company, and that's what I would actually recommend for most people starting companies. It's not really, in my opinion, I try to avoid taking on seed capital because, if you can launch your company, if you can get to that initial stage of success, your bargaining power when you're raising money or taking on money at all, your bargaining power just goes up so much. So there's such a premium on the risk between 0 and 100,000. I don't think it makes much sense to take on capital to get to that or to get to 1 million. I think you should really bootstrap your company, figure out how to self-fund your own company through the sales themselves, and that's how the best companies grow is self-funded through sales.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then how did you find positive ROI marketing and ad mediums?
Yeah, honestly, just testing a lot of different things. Our number one ad channel right now is Facebook ads would be our number one paid ad channel, and our number one organic ad channel or organic channel would be just Google and our blog mainly. So it's just about trying a lot of different things and also thinking about how can you best serve your customer. Where's your customer at? What do they like? What kind of content are they consuming? Figure out how to place yourself in your customer's life in a way that they would admire. And if you can figure out your customer, I think it's really easy to find those positive ROI ad channels and promotion channels.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then what's your professional background like prior to starting your own company?
Really none. Yeah, like I said, I actually started my first company when I was, officially started my first company, I guess, when I was like 12 years old or something. So my professional experience is really just a lot of failure. And I think you'll find that with most successful entrepreneurs, it really comes down to a lot of trial and error, a lot of taking action, and knowing that you're going to stumble your way through it. But when you stumble your way through and learn from your mistakes, that's how you develop that entrepreneurial gut instinct that everyone talks about. So I would say my training came through just a lot of trial and error, constantly taking action and staying optimistic, and just keep on pushing forward. That's my experience.
Mm-hmm. What is it that makes you feel like your business is a success?
I mean, really, money, right? That's ultimately the end goal, the scoreboard for a business. So, revenue and profits is always going to be the number one answer there. But in terms of just, I think every business has to have its own KPIs, its own key performance indicators, and you need to find a few good metrics that really capture the core values and the culture of your company. So, for us, it's really important. What's the success rate on our training programs? What's our refund rate? How many clients are we actually keeping happy and fulfilling our promise to? Those are really important things to our company, but it's going to be different from company to company. I think the only kind of baseline metric that's going to be important in every single company is going to be profit. So.
Hmm. Do you use any information technology to run your business? If so, what kind?
Yeah, I use a lot. One last thing on the last question though, too. I mean, if you even saying that profit is a good way to measure business success, even that's not really true, right? Because you look at a business like Amazon that just became profitable last year for the first time, and they intentionally try to not take a profit so they can focus on top line growth and just expanding their business. So another good way I think to measure your business's success is just the amount of value you're creating for the world in general. Are you creating a lot of value for a few people, or are you creating a little value for a lot of people? The more value you can create in the world, that's a really good way to measure how effective your business is at its mission.
Hmm.
And then back on IT. Yeah, I mean, we use all sorts of IT. You know, right now we're using GoToMeeting, which I use GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar. Really, I think the majority of our money comes through GoToWebinar in a way because we do these webinars, and that's how we sell up most of our products. So that's a really important piece of IT. I could really go down the list, though. I mean, we're just so. I mean, we're a tech company, so everything. I mean, we have 15 different ways to look at email depending on how we're doing it. All sorts of different tools. So yeah, tons of different. I mean, you really, to be an entrepreneur in today, you have to be really really good with technology, which most young people are naturally. So you guys do have that edge.
Hmm. If you could change one thing about the way you operate your business, would you?
I mean, if there was something I wanted to change about my business, I would change it, right? I mean, that's my job as kind of the head honcho. So I think I'm constantly thinking about that, and at every stage of your business, there's always going to be things you want to change. So I mean, that's what work is at the end of the day, right? Is how do we want to change this business and the world, and how are we going to do it?
Hmm. And what would the one thing be that you could change?
I mean, it really changes all the time. I mean, honestly, day by day, it's going to change. For a lot of companies, it's going to be minute by minute. What you want to change is, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just constant. How with how quick the world changes these days. So yeah. I mean, to put a blanket statement on, I guess I would love to get better team members, or not better team members, but more all stars. The more all star people, the more all stars you can get working towards your vision, the better your company's going to do and the farther your vision's going to go. It's I'd say that's really kind of the number one stress reliever I've ever found in business is great teammates and great employees. It's amazing what they can do for not only the company but for you and your stress levels as well.
Hmm. And what qualities do you think make a good employee?
Um, it depends on the position, obviously, but they gotta be smart. I really believe in hiring for brain power first. They have to be a culture fit. Honestly, if you can find someone that's a culture fit and they're really smart, they're probably gonna work out in the long run anyways. So that's got to be the top two things. I think so. Those are kind of the two things you can't compromise on.
Hmm.
And then further than that, though, you want those people that don't make any excuses. You want those people that are go-getters, the people that just no excuses, no complaints. They're going to get out there and do what's expected of them and more. Um, excuse me. And then also people that really understand again, and this goes back to a culture fit. People that really understand the mission of the company, because you can train someone to a certain level, um, but once you go year, 2, 3, 5 years in, you're not training them anymore, right? They're kind of off on their own, doing their own thing. So if you can get a good culture fit, someone really smart and someone who really understands the mission and cares about your customers and what you're doing, that person's not only going to do their job, but they're going to do a lot more. They're going to unlock additional revenue streams for your business, and they're going to go above and beyond. They're just the type of person you can trust with anything. So that's really what I'm looking for is, and I think that's how we kind of define that all star, that not the A player, but the A plus player. That's really what we're going for.
Hmm. How many different positions are available to apply for in your business?
Is really unlimited. It's really unlimited. We never stop recruiting. if you ask Steve Jobs back in the day what his job was at Apple, he would tell you that it's recruiting. It's about getting people passionate about what Apple does, about making it really clear what Apple does, and motivating people towards that mission. So I think any company out there should never stop hiring. If you've stopped hiring, you're doing something very wrong, because you always need to be recruiting. There might be someone that just quits their job next week that might have been the perfect person for this company, that might have taken it, made it 100 times bigger. But if you're not recruiting this week, then you're never going to find him, and he's never going to know who you are. So I think you're always recruiting. You never stop employing or looking for new team members. I mean, in terms of what we're actively hiring for, it's a content marketer and an inbound marketer, and then a community manager and a social media manager, as well as a entry-level person that, again, I like to get really good, smart people who are passionate about my business, because I just get them in at an entry-level position. Yeah, I can train them on a few things that I need done here and there, but honestly, with any business, there's an unlimited task list, right? There's an unlimited amount of things that you could do to expand the business, to help more people, to unlock more revenue. It's simply a lack of time and resources, and human beings are a great resource to, attain those new achievements. So,
Yeah. As the owner of the company, what kind of day-to-day things do you have to do?
I mean, as the, I guess CEO, I'm kind of doing everything, right? I'm kind of doing whatever needs to be done. And yeah, so I mean, it's really unlimited. It's really interesting the way that companies grow, especially ones like ours, because it started with just me and then slowly expanded from there. So I really know how to do every single task in the company, and that's my job, is just to I see my job as finding great people and creating opportunities for them to grow and for them to shine. So those are my main jobs, and I'm doing anything I can to support my team, because I'm trying to hire people who are smarter than me in their respective fields. So I just want to clear the path for them and let them go, let them run free. So my job is to do that.
Mm-hmm. Uh, what is the worst experience you've had while operating your business?
I mean, there's not, there's tons of bad experiences. I think entrepreneurs don't really see negative and positive experiences. They just see experiences and they learn from them, take what they can. You can make a negative experience a positive one if you learn a lot from it. So I think that's what most entrepreneurs do. So, I don't think I had really many negative experiences. This is kind of what I signed up for. But, in terms of what's really stressful, I mean, the whole thing is stressful, right? I mean, don't expect to get a lot of sleep. I mean, it's you're definitely sacrificing your life for the business. I mean, that's part of entrepreneurship. I don't really see that as a negative, though. I would say, firing people is probably the toughest thing to do as a business owner. Firing people is just really, really tough, tough to do, and just having those stern conversations and things like that. So, I mean, that's probably the most negative thing I've seen. Other than that, though, I mean, it's a roller coaster ride, and I think most entrepreneurs know that before they sign up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then my final question is, what is some advice you can give to someone who is starting a business?
I would say just get out there and get it done. Yeah, just get out there and take action and get it done. Never ask permission for anything. Just do things. If I had $1, I mean, this is a horrible thing to say, and your professor's probably gonna hate this, but if I had $1 for every time I've broken the law or broken some rule to do something, I'd have a lot of money. But I have a lot more money because I broke those rules. So I think just getting out there and taking action. Too many people, too many entrepreneurs overthink everything. They try to look to other people for advice. When the reality of the situation is no one knows your business better than you, and no one knows you as an entrepreneur better than you do. So you have to take every piece of advice with a grain of salt. I think too many entrepreneurs learn for too long. You have to stop learning and start doing. At a certain point, you are no longer a student of entrepreneurship. And how you graduate from entrepreneurship, a student of entrepreneurship, the way you make that graduation is by just being an entrepreneur, which means just getting out there and doing it, making something happen, building, creating something. even if it fails miserably, you're going to take the knowledge forth for the next, for you guys, you're going to take the knowledge forth for what, 100 years. You're going to learn these lessons are going to pay dividends for 100, up to that point of time. So I think get out there and take as much action as you can. There's actually this is actually a good time to show my painting. Um, this is a Jackson Pollock painting, and for anyone who saw the movie Ex Machina, in Ex Machina, they're sitting there talking about this painting, and the guy who owns the painting is telling his friend about the painting, and he says, I mean, look at how incredible this thing is. The way Pollock did this was he would essentially just dip his paint in a paintbrush and just go with it. He called it automatic painting, I think it was, where he would just kind of go and just let the flow go wherever it went. He didn't really understand where it was going to end up, but he just let it happen. He just took action. And the guy turned to the other guy and he said, what would this painting look like if Jackson Pollock had to know what the painting looked like, what it was going to look like as a finished product? What if he had to plan out every single line on this painting? What would he have ended up painting? And the other guy thinks for a second. He says, it would have just been blank. He would have never painted anything at all. And I think that's a good metaphor for entrepreneurship, and that's actually why I have this painting here, is because it inspires me to take action. You have to understand that you're not going to understand where your life's going to end up. You're not going to understand what kind of business you're going to end up building. Most businesses end up pivoting and become completely different businesses from what they started out as. So the key for entrepreneurs is to just make a lot of streaks and put a lot of paint on the canvas, and that's how you create a beautiful scenery or whatever. A beautiful painting is just by getting a lot of paint on the canvas day in, day out, and it's going to end up looking really beautiful at the end. So I think that's a good entrepreneurship kind of metaphor, and that would be, I guess, my advice.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing this interview.
Yep, definitely. Hopefully your professor likes it, and yes, stay in school, even though